How's it going, you excellent people? Malik here from MXW Design, and today I wanted to show the process that I went through to make a quick poster for the game Dirge of Cerberus Final Fantasy VII. Now, the concept for this video came while I was watching a streamer play the game last night, and I was like, hey, why don't I make a poster of this in the style of the Final Fantasy logo design? Because it's a very big inspiration for me, and I really love the Final Fantasy series. So what you're going to be watching is the process of me basically going from start to finish of making this poster. Now, one thing that I have to preface is that I do not illustrate the characters that I will be using in this logo, or this poster I should say. What I do is I find the images online, and as you can see here, I'm actually able to use like a background erase tool to isolate these characters, and it's going to basically allow me to manipulate them to fit the style of the logo. And just like that, I'm able to use my background erase materia in order to allow me to isolate these characters. And now what I'm basically doing is setting up the grid, the border, to make sure that I give myself enough space. Now what I'm doing here is I'm playing around with the threshold setting that you can find in the image adjustments tab. And this is basically allowing me to see, if there's any adjustments I need to make to the actual image itself before going all in. And so after making those adjustments, I'm now messing around with the threshold settings to see, what's the perfect blend of black and white that I should be using, and if I should duplicate the layer and retain some of those details that you can be seeing. So what you're seeing here is I realized that the face needed to have more of the details. So what I ended up doing was I stacked two threshold layers back to back, and I erased the information that I didn't need in order to merge the two together. Now, after creating a clipping mask and doing a lot of different wishy-washy tricks to get everything nice and clean, I was able to get Vincent Valentine to be separate. So he's black with no white whatsoever, which is going to be very useful when it comes to adding the gradient effect, so that way it looks and feels more like a Final Fantasy design. Now I have to do the same thing to his, well, spoiler, Chaos transformation. And this one was a little more trickier because there's a lot of detail that comes with his Chaos transformation, especially when it comes to the chest and the gun. And I wanted to make sure that I was retaining just enough of that white information without overwhelming and making it too difficult for myself, basically. Now after I've done that, I can go ahead and go in, fill in any of the white spots that I feel don't really need to be there in order for it to be a successful piece. Now at this point, I just kind of wanted to, clean up the lines. It's kind of hard to tell, but when you're working on this while using the threshold setting, it creates a very jaggedness to your image. So I started with his feet, and I started cleaning up little things, erasing lines that didn't need to be there. And I realized that it was just taking too much time. After all, this was supposed to be a quick thing, so I kind of just let it go. Now you get to see the process of me experimenting with the gradient colors to see where I want it to be light, where I want it to be dark, what kind of colors would work. Once I finished with Chaos, I then move over to Vincent. I wanted to have Vincent have a little more of a pink into his color, just to give him a little bit more life, instead of just having it go from light red to dark red, just like Chaos. And as you'll see soon, I'm actually not comfortable with Chaos's gradient, so I switch it up. So one thing that was bothering me was the fact that Chaos's design was kind of interfering with the design of Vincent. And so in order to isolate the two and make sure that they both stood out as their own individual characters, I went ahead and erased what would have been see-through when it came to Vincent's design to give it this illusion that they are basically within a space, one in the foreground, one in the background. Now, when it comes to color, I really love the colors black and red, and so of course I had to go with a kind of dark theme design for this Final Fantasy VII poster. I was very inspired by Dissidia Duodecim and Dissidia Final Fantasy because they were the first to introduce the whole dark theme, at least that I got to see, and from there I always fell in love with it, and also kind of it fits the theme of Dirge of Cerberus, which is a very dark theme if you ever watch or play the game. And of course I had to add the classic Final Fantasy style text. Now what's interesting about Dirge of Cerberus is the official logo for Dirge of Cerberus does not use the font, and it was kind of jarring for me, so I said for this poster that I would change that, and I wanted it to feel like it was a part of, well, the Final Fantasy VII universe. So once I have all the text in place and they're the appropriate size and they're all the right font and colors and they all have that nice outline to make sure that everything is not interfering with one another, I go through, make sure that all of my layers are organized and put together and labeled in case I want to come back and make some edits to it, make some changes. I go ahead and make some adjustments, brightening up the colors a little bit and adding some saturation because it felt a little too dull, so I wanted it to stand out more. And without further ado, that is the poster for Dirge of Cerberus Final Fantasy VII. And I'll make sure that you get to see the alternative white form as well. Thank you so much for watching this video. Remember to subscribe if you like what I'm doing here, and hit that like button so that way I can know that the content I'm making is very appealing to you. If you really want to be a part of this community, follow me on social media. You can follow me on Instagram at mxw_design, where I post all of my art stuff whenever I am at the best place to upload them. And with all that being said, remember to stay excellent.